Good afternoon and welcome back to Daughter Arise. My name is Yvonne. Hope that you're doing well this lovely sunny afternoon. I know it's been a little bit of a while since my last video. I've just had so much things that I've had to take care of. But today I'm back with a little bit of a reflection video. Now, if you've never come on this channel before, welcome. I hope you enjoyed the video and please feel free to check out my other videos. If you have come on this channel before and you haven't subscribed, please support me by subscribing. This channel is all about bringing you news and topics and awareness around the subject of sexual abuse. That could be from my own experience or from news topics that I come across. And really it's about giving voice to the survivor, somebody who's been through sexual abuse. There's not many platforms where survivors or where a survivor of sexual abuse can come out and just talk about things, issues that a lot of people might find difficult to talk about, but to come forward and just talk about it in an open and honest way, because I believe that in order for the epidemic of sexual abuse to be, the stigma attached to it to be destroyed, we need to have open discussions about it and not be afraid to address the elephant in the room. So, you know, this is why I do this channel. It's not an easy topic to talk about. A lot of people are really, to be honest, if you're not somebody that's been through it or had somebody that's been through it who it's affected, a lot of people don't really find this topic that interesting. But regardless of that, I still am passionate about sharing about this topic because, you know, it's going on right now in our society. It's affected so many lives. And, you know, from the work that I've done with my organisation, Daughter Arise, a lot of people do not come through going through this experience of sexual abuse unscathed. And I am one of a handful of people that I know that is open in talking about their experience. And you know, another thing I'm going to be doing on this channel is to bring you an interview with somebody that has been through sexual abuse, and we're just going to have a discussion about it, about our experience. And you know, please look out for that. I'll let you know nearer the time when that's going to happen. So in this video today, I want to share with you 5 things that I have discovered since going through sexual abuse 32 years ago. Wow, just even to say it, to just even say 32 years, it seems like a long time. And you know, I was sexually abused from the age of 9 to 13 years old, and the fact that I've been on this journey 32 years to healing, to recovery, and actually feeling in a place where my abuse actually doesn't really affect me anymore is, I never thought I would get to this day. This 32-year journey has been one of highs and lows. Definitely in my teen years, I mean, I was thinking about this yesterday, reflecting on my journey from where I was, you know, at 13 when I got taken into care by social services to where I am now. I've just made such a huge steps. I've made so much progress in my life, not just the things that I'm doing outwardly, but mentally, in my mindset. You know, sexual abuse, when you've gone through it, is like, it never leaves you, but there are different ways in which you can deal with it. And I always kind of talk about it like it is like, it wasn't open wounds, but now it's a scar. And as you know, with a physical scar, it doesn't hurt anymore, but the reminder of it sometimes is there. And you know, I just feel like at this point in my life where I've been through so much because of it, to actually feel yeah, I'm able to lead the life that I want and do the things that I want is an amazing thing. So 32 years, as I said, it's been this journey of highs and lows, ups and downs, not thinking that I was going to make it, and to be on the other side of it now. When I was going through it, there were things I definitely believed was the truth. You know, for instance, one of the things was that when my dad started sexually abusing me, about a year in, when I was 10 years old, he told me that if I ever told anybody what he was doing, that I would go deaf, dumb and blind. That I would be a mute, basically, if I ever told anybody what happened to me. I remember at that point when he told me that, feeling scared, overwhelmed. You know, he said to me that he was part of a fraternity, and their fraternity leader told him to tell me that. And I remember thinking at that point, wow, who is this person that has got so much power that they can make you turn deaf, dumb and blind? I remember thinking that so clearly when I was sitting on that bed at 10 years old. But as I spoke out about my experience, I realised I didn't go deaf, I didn't go blind, and that I wasn't a mute, you know, and that it was a lie that was told to me by my dad to keep me under control, to keep me fearful, so that I wouldn't tell the secret. And I want to share this with you because I think it's really important, because one of the number one things that perpetrators of abuse do is to try and threaten and make the person, the child, the victim that they're doing it to, make them feel scared that if they ever told anybody, you know, that no one would believe them, that they would be in trouble, or like me, you know, you'd turn deaf, dumb and blind. But you know what? These things are not true. Maybe to an extent, maybe people might not react great to it. That, with the subject of sexual abuse, is probably a given. But one of the things I share with, one of the reasons why I share this with you, is to make you know that no matter what anybody says to you, you know, you are in control of your life. You are in control of what you do with the information. For me, I took it as, there's no way anybody is going to make me feel, you know, when that opportunity presented itself at 13, when Childline came to my school and I was given the vocabulary to talk out, I thought, this is my chance to be free. And even if that meant being deaf, dumb and blind, well, so be it, because I didn't want my dad touching me anymore. But being on the other side of things now and realising that it was always a lie, I never became mute or deaf 10 years later, 20 years later, you know, just shows you that these things are just to control and never to kind of, they're never the truth, you know. So going through that and being through that and being on the other side of it, you know, I can now, even with all the tribulations and being isolated and ostracised by my family and different things like that, I can definitely say now, you know, it was the best decision I ever made, speaking out, you know, and breaking that lie, because it was never the truth. Okay, so another thing that I found on this 32-year journey of recovering from sexual abuse is that ultimately the power and the choice in overcoming my abuse starts with me. It is one of those things which is hard to explain to somebody else who's been through sexual abuse, who's feeling the despair and the helplessness and the hopelessness of the situation. But in all honesty, the choice and the power to overcome your situation, to deal with what has happened to you, to overcome it and live the life that you want to live, ultimately starts with you. And that is a really hard thing to say, especially to somebody who has survived sexual abuse, because I found in my experience that sexual abuse left me depowered. It does that to all survivors. Because ultimately, when you have somebody who's violating you in this way, they have overridden your personal boundaries, come into your space and done what they wanted to do with your body, violating you in the worst way. And in doing that, especially as a child, having an adult do that to you, it takes away your power. And that helplessness comes in at that point, and that hopelessness comes in. And those are the feelings I found stayed with me for so long. I went through my teenage years, I went through my 20s, feeling like I had no power over my own life. I had no power over my choices, that to an extent, especially up to my early 20s, that people could do what they wanted to me and that was okay, because I was used I had this mindset of being used to being abused. You know, I felt completely depowered. But one of the things that helped me to find my voice was in speaking out about my experience. If you're somebody that's been through sexual abuse, my encouragement to you today is to speak out about your experience. And I know that is really hard, and it has to be done with the right person. If you can't tell a trusted friend or a close family member, you know, on this channel, I'm a big advocate of helplines like Samaritans, or you can call NAPAC, National Association of People Abused in Childhood. You can call Daughter Arise, and you can do it in these ways. You can do it confidentially. The most important thing, first off, is that you let out that inner experience, because you know it can have an effect, and it does have an effect mentally, emotionally on the person. And you know, in just talking about it, it helped me to find my voice. And in finding my voice, immediately, well, not immediately, after a while, I started to realize that I had power. Many things were taken away from me during my childhood, and going through that experience of being sexually abused. But one thing that has not been able to be taken away from me is my voice. You know, and that's why I'm so powerful in using my voice on platforms like YouTube, or whether it's my TEDx talk that I did on empowering survivors of sexual abuse. This is the most powerful weapon I have. Whilst other things were taken away from me, you know, my experience left me humiliated, left me lacking dignity, left me feeling guilty, ashamed, you know, and burdened. You know, that's what the experience left me with. In its place now, in being able to talk about it, I've been able to find my voice. It is important that you realise that the decision starts with you. The power and the power you have to overcome your experience. No one else can do that for you. And no one's saying that you'll ever forget what's happened to you. No one is saying that, you know, it's something that will, you know, the memories might never leave you. Memories, I find, to do with this fades over time. I mean, I don't think about it at all. And, you know, for me, when I speak about my experiences now, it's more to raise awareness and to educate other people. It never takes me back to a place of thinking, like earlier on in my journey, it would take me back to a place of feeling really vulnerable. Way before I did the book 7 years ago, I'm feeling really vulnerable and feeling like, you know, back to that little girl. But it doesn't do that anymore, you know, because I realised that my experience, that, you know, even though it was not God's will for me to have this experience of abuse, people make their own decisions. But what I have got out of this experience is being able to use it for a better platform, for a platform to be able to share and help other people. And I've been able to do that in a number of different ways. Finding your voice and the power to start to live your life starts with you. And I'm passionate about telling you this because I've seen too many people who have gone through what I've gone through. And you know, another thing, you know, it's not about the amount of times. One violation is one too many. You know, it doesn't matter if it was once or 50 times. It's one too many. It should never happen. It should never happen to me. It should never happen to you. But I see too many times people have just given up on life. You know, feeling hopeless, feeling helpless, feeling that they can't make it through. And I have to be honest with you, you know, the power and the choice in overcoming your abuse does come back to you. And in doing so, it does involve hard work. It does involve sacrifice. It does involve, you know, facing fears and facing things that, you know, you've hidden for so long. It does involve coming out from behind the mask, you know, that maybe you've worn for so long. You know, in overcoming abuse, it takes all these things. So, you know, again, I would just encourage you, you know, to take back what's yours. Take back your power. And one of the ways, the best way to do it, first of all, is to acknowledge it's happened to you. And the second thing I would say to you is to find your voice. Voice it to somebody. Another thing I found on this journey in overcoming abuse is that my experiences have ultimately made me stronger. There was a time during this period, because I've been on this journey for 32 years, but there was a time earlier on, I would say from when it happened to me up until probably about 30 maybe, that I thought that I would never overcome it, that I was weak, that it had broken me for good and everything, but ultimately it hasn't broken me. It has made me a stronger person. I've learned to be resilient through my experiences. I've learned how to overcome adversity, and yes, it should never have happened, but I can't do anything about my past now. It's only served to strengthen and build my character and given me courage. And that is something I realised actually from earlier on, but I didn't realise how valuable it was, because in working with survivors of sexual abuse and knowing that a lot of people never speak out about it, I realised that as a 13-year-old girl who had the vocabulary, who'd gone through it up to 13 years old, that was 5 years in, to still find the courage, despite being told I'd lose my voice, despite not knowing what the future would hold for me, to speak out about it, I realised that I'm a courageous person. And I didn't realise my power then. I only realised my power in probably the last 10 years. But in finding my voice and in just dealing with the things that I've had to deal with, I realised that my experience of going through sexual abuse has built me up for the things that I am doing today and for the stuff that is going to be coming in my future. It never broke me. It only strengthened me and made me more defiant and made me more passionate about helping people and supporting people who have been through sexual abuse. It has made me a more resilient person, and it has made me more prone to take risks. Good, and what I mean by that, like things like making decisions and stepping out and doing things. And last year when I shared on this channel, when I did the testimony to the street in June 2017, my experiences have made me more open to take risks. It has made me more flexible. I'm able to adapt. I've had to adapt to so much in my life. I mean, going from being part of a family unit to the age of 13, then living in care, no family, whatever. I had to learn how to cook, I had to learn how to look after myself, moved around from pillar to post in care, and then obviously being a young teen mum and going through all the things. I had to adapt to lots of difficult life experiences right off the bat without being shown. No one showed me how to be a parent. Nobody showed me, how I would get through some of the really tough emotions and tough circumstances that sexual abuse leaves behind. But I had to adapt and I had to be flexible. And these are skills. These experiences have given me these skills to be able to take that into any part of my life now in better circumstances, not so much now really hard ones, making tough decisions and stuff, but I've learnt to be resilient and I've learnt to be flexible, and that comes with time, that comes with experience. I've had to work through difficult circumstances, and in doing that, that's where I've discovered so much different things about myself. This for me is a really important one, and I feel it's important to share it with you. I am a woman of faith, as you know. I am a child of God. I am a Christian and a follower of Christ, and this is something that I feel is important to share. And for me, this is what I believe. One of the things that I'm passionate about is that this is what I believe. And God gives revelation to whoever He gives revelation to. And you have to have the heart to desire that. But I respect everybody's religion. Everybody has a right to believe whatever religion they want. But for me, I believe in Christ, and I believe that forgiveness is an essential part of being able to move on. For other people, they might believe that as well, but I'm just talking about from my experience. Forgiveness is an important part of being able to move on. And forgiveness for me, what I've discovered, is not about the other person. It is about me. So for instance, from the age of 9 till about 22, 23, I absolutely hated my dad for what he'd done to me. I felt bitter. I felt angry. I didn't even know actually I felt bitter. I just had this kind of really hatred towards him. But in, just working through it, I realised I felt bitterness towards the way I was treated by him and by my parents and stuff. And it fed into my depression, the unforgiveness, because I was holding on to all this stuff. And honestly, I can say that in releasing it, for me, how I released it, I asked God to help me to forgive him, because I couldn't do it in my own strength. And in doing that, it freed me up. It freed up my spirit. It freed up my mind to be able to embrace other things that I needed to learn, other things that I needed to that were important to know for me to be able to move on from the hurt and the pain and the grieving process that I was going through because of what had happened to me. Forgiveness is not about the other person. Forgiveness is about releasing you. Because while you hold on to it, you are holding on to their offence. They are the ones that should be holding on to it. And even if they don't hold on to it, God says he's a God of justice and he will repay. But forgiveness is about releasing yourself from the offence that was caused to you. And, once I did that, over time, I started to have, my depression started to lessen. And I started to be able to think more about my recovery and what I needed, rather than thinking about him and him getting away with it. Because, I haven't received any worldly justice for what he's done to me. But, again, this is something as a woman of faith that I will leave to God. But for me, essentially, forgiveness is about releasing yourself from the burden of that person's offence. And, this is just what helped me. It's something I would say to you, but you will have your own journey on how you get there if you choose to do that. Not everybody chooses to do that. And again, I can only speak from my experience, but it is a journey. And even now, forgiveness isn't just right, I forgive, blah, blah, blah. In an ideal world, that's probably how it works. I don't know. But for me, sometimes when the offence came up again, especially when those times where I found certain aspects of my life hard, and that anger would try and come back, or those memories would try and bring up those feelings of anger, I still had to keep going back and saying, Lord, I give this back to you. I forgive my dad for what he's done. And I do forgive him for what he's done. He has no power or hold over my life. None of them do. I am living my life for myself. And my life is not being defined by my past experience of him sexually abusing me, or my treatment at the hands of my birth family. It's got nothing to do with that. I'm living my life defined by what I want for my life. And, forgiveness has been a key thing that I have learned on this journey, 32-year journey, that has been essential to me healing and recovering. I don't know how you feel about forgiveness. Maybe that's something you've never thought about, but I just felt it was important just to share with you, again, like the other things, one of the essential things that I've, found to be true on this 32-year journey, that, forgiveness is one of the essential keys to healing. So, there's many other things I've learned, and I probably might do another video about other things that I've discovered on this 32-year journey to recovering from sexual abuse. And I would class myself as somebody who's recovered. I would say I am somebody who is recovered. Doesn't mean that, the memory ever leaves you. It doesn't, but I don't really have memories about it anymore, very, 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 very rarely. And that has come from years of working in therapy and prayer and forgiveness and everything else, that whatever it has taken for me to heal, I have tried, and I have put my heart into to be able to get to this point. So for me, I mean, this 32-year journey, I would say, yeah, I'm recovered. And my hope and wish for any of you who are watching this who've been through sexual abuse is that you will have complete wholeness within your soul, and that you will recover too. You know, you don't have to just survive it. You know, you can go on to thrive and live the life that you want. And it's a journey, you know. It's been a journey for me to get to this point. But, you know, I look on my experience now and I look on it completely differently to how I looked on it 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I resented all the work that I had to do, resented the fact I had to go through it. But it is what it is. I can't do nothing about my past. There's no point me looking at what's happened to me and say, oh, I wish I never went through it. Because I did that for many years. I've got a whole different kind of perspective on it now. I look at it and say, well, you know, it's happened. I wish it didn't happen, but this is what I'm going to learn out of it. Every experience that I've had out of it, I'm using for good, and that is what matters. And I hope that will be the same for you too. So I hope that you found this video helpful to hear about my journey. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. Please do subscribe and check out my other videos. If you want to know about the work of Daughter Arise, which I am founder of, you can visit the website on www.daughterarise.org.uk. Also as well, I will leave below in the description box the link to my Hope in the Future blog, which is a blog I write every month on Daughter Arise with topics, encouragement, around, you know, recovering from sexual abuse, insights from my experience. Please do check it out and, you know, subscribe to my blog and leave a comment if you like. And also as well, I run a support group with Daughter Arise, which starts back in September. You know, I'm based in London, Brixton. That's where the support group is run from. So, you know, if you are from the London area, or you can get to the support group once a month, please check out the website and look on the support group page for the next date, which will be in September. But I hope that you have found this video helpful. And if you want to ask me any questions, you can contact me at info@daughterarise.org.uk. So I shall see you on the next video. Take care.